Hi, how you doing, folks? This is Mitch from Hard Intentions YouTube channel. We also have HARDINTENTIONS.com where we have some really cool stuff. Shirts, hats, art. Check us out. You might find something you like. Hi, this is Mitch, Hard Intentions YouTube channel. And we have a special guest on here, Harvey. How you doing? You want to introduce yourself to folks? Please.
Yeah, my name's Harvey Seidel. I'm here in Missouri.
Right.
I grew up on a small farm, and everything was great. You know, I never got in trouble or anything, and I found out my fort.
You live in Missouri.
Yeah.
So you grew up in, how old are you right now?
51.
Right, so you grew up in Missouri.
Right, yeah.
So did you you grow up in like a regular home?
Oh yeah, nice home. You know,
Like
things could be better.
Both parents, all that?
Yeah.
All right. And so you have siblings like brothers, sisters, all that?
Yeah, I had one brother, and that's the reason I ended up going to prison.
All right, so you guys grew up on a farm, you say, or something like that?
Yeah.
All right. And like you guys, you go, like you have regular school, you do all right in school, all that kind of shit?
Yeah, made good grades, all that.
All right. All right. And so your sibling is he older or younger than you?
He was younger, 2 years younger than me.
All right. All right. And so he said that your sibling is the reason you ended up in prison. Can you kind of give me a little rundown about that? Are you and your brother tight?
We were. He passed away a few years back, but
all right.
Yeah, we was real close, and I found out a distant cousin was abusing him, threatening him, yeah, and abusing him. So I told my parents, and they did not want to believe it.
Really?
Yeah, so I told there was a retired cop that,
What kind of abuse you talking about? Like physical, sexual, like
all of it, anything you can think of, you know.
Oh wow.
It was just bad. You know, I saw him once pointing a gun at my brother, and so I threatened to shoot him then. And I didn't know about all the other stuff until later. And, and my brother finally told me about it. And so I told my parents, and they didn't want to believe it, you know?
Yeah.
So I told a friend of the family that was a retired cop, and he just turned around and told my parents, and it made them mad. So I felt like I had no other option, you know?
So they got mad that you went outside the family with a story?
Yeah.
So that guy you told he was a retired cop, he didn't like investigate it. He didn't believe you or what?
I'm not sure if he believed me or not. He just turned around and told my parents what I told him. And they just said, well, he's lying because he doesn't like the guy. Well, there was a reason I didn't like him. There was a reason I didn't like him, you know?
Well, like him or not, you know, I mean, if the story's true, it doesn't matter if you like him or not.
Right, exactly. And, you know, it's like other people said, even people should listen to their children. Even if it comes out that it's not true, they should at least listen to them.
Right.
You know?
And so this was true. Your brother was being abused. How old was he when this was going on?
14.
That's when you found out about it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how long it'd been going on, and he didn't tell me. But he just told me that it had been happening.
Right.
And so, right. So, you know, it could have been years because he lived right up the road from us.
Right. You guys live out in the country, kind of?
Yeah.
I just went to Missouri recently, man. It's pretty spread out, you know?
Yeah.
We're in Lake of the Ozarks area by Camdenton.
Yeah, that's only 40 miles from me.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you started, getting flack from your folks, and did you feel like, nobody believed you or what?
Yeah, I felt like I was up. I was kind of hurt that they didn't believe me,
Yeah.
and, and upset.
So you were
And I felt like
16. You were 16.
I was. I just turned 17.
All right. So were you involved with like drinking or drugs or any kind of crime or anything?
I wasn't involved in crime, but I partied and drank and stuff on the weekends.
Yeah. Typical
And I
teenage
was a
stuff.
teenager.
Yeah.
Right.
Typical stuff teenagers do. All right.
Right.
So you weren't really up on like criminal behavior stuff.
Oh no.
All right. All right. So out there, did you have guns in the house and all that kind of stuff? Like,
Oh, I was raised shooting guns. Yeah, we had all kinds of guns.
all right. All right. So um evidently you decided to take matters into your own hand or something or what?
Yeah. I waited during deer season, and I shot him during deer season. And when
Really?
I got arrested for it, um, I was the type of person that couldn't just not say anything. So I ended up saying something about it. And I told him why. Anyway, I get arrested for murder and armed criminal action. And
So you told him you were going to shoot him?
no, I didn't say until afterwards.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of those things where I tried to not say anything, but then I eventually had to. It
So
just
what, you go out
bothered me.
deer hunting with him or something?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. And I didn't really go out with him, but I knew where he was at, and so I walked up to him. You know,
Yeah. So you
and
shot
I
him
mean, I was just
close range.
yeah,
So you
and
couldn't say it was a hunting accident, huh?
no,
Yeah.
no, they wasn't going for that. He was up in a deer stand, and they could tell by the ballistics and everything that he'd been shot just a little ways away.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but the prosecutor, my lawyer told the prosecutor why I'd done it, and they said, well, even if what you say is true, he basically hunted the guy down and shot him. And
Right.
which is that's true. You know,
Yeah.
so but
So
everybody that was,
did did you tell your brother or anybody after you did it?
I told my brother, he was in school, and when he got home from school, and the police and everything was out there, so I told him, and he goes, oh man, he says, I didn't want you to do this.
Yeah.
uh, he said, now they're gonna put you in prison. And he said, I ain't gonna have a brother. I didn't want any of this to happen. you know
Yeah.
I told you out of confidence. He said you could have just beat him up or something.
Yeah.
I didn't think beating him up was just going to solve anything.
Well, a lot of guys think that type of behavior is not it's not an ass whooping type of offense, like in California,
Right.
before they started all these PC yards, they used to use those guys for target practice with knives, so
Oh yeah.
and every now and then one of them would die, so
Yeah.
I mean it's a
There was one. There was one in prison I was at. For some reason, he was on the yard. I don't know why he was on the yard, but some guy beat him up. He just intended to beat him up, and he killed him. He beat him to death. You
yeah.
know,
Well, he probably got a little carried away,
he did. He did get carried away.
So you got arrested. How did the police get involved?
Well, they came out there. Anytime there's a like during deer season, there's a hunting accident. The police are always involved.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
how did they get up on you?
well, they asked if I'd been hunting in that area, and I said yes and everything. And so They took my gun and they took other people's guns that has been hunting in that same area. They took all of our guns.
Yeah.
And they did ballistics, and they came back and they told me that, hey, that bullet came from your gun. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
they arrested you.
right. And
So nobody ratted on you then.
no, nobody ratted on me. No,
All right.
And but they gave everybody else's guns back that has been hunting in the area, but mine.
Yeah.
And they arrested me like 2 days after the fact. And I just finally I broke down and just told them, yeah,
Yeah.
and this is why I did it.
Right. So did you I mean you're 17, right?
Right.
You go to juvenile hall, you go to county jail.
I went to county jail.
All right, and they tried you as an adult.
Right.
All right, and did they offer you any deals or anything?
Yeah, they offered me 25 years, and I took it. But the problem is, me and the two guys that was in the thing with me, we tried to escape.
All right.
So they took that deal off the table, and they said the only deal we're offering you is life and 5 for the escape run together. Otherwise, if you go to trial, we're going to throw the book at you.
Yeah.
So I was a scared 17-year-old, so I took that deal.
Yeah.
And
You took
but everybody,
just life.
right? Yeah, just regular life with parole. And so everybody in prison tells me I should have never took any deal. I should have took that to trial, but I was young and
Well, you shouldn't have tried to escape, but
right.
you're young and
Right.
I understand.
Yeah, and I was influenced by the other two guys. But yeah, I shouldn't have tried to escape. I shouldn't have took the deal. They said, they offered you 25 years, but they said because they really didn't, they knew they would have trouble if they went to trial.
Yeah, well, I
I
mean,
don't know.
people in your area, they probably would have heard about it and they probably would have been a little sympathetic towards what you did, right?
Right. Yeah.
Imagine
And
people out there in Missouri don't take too kind to that type of behavior.
oh, they don't. They don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long did it take you to get to prison once you got sentenced?
It didn't take too long. They took me to a place called Fulton Diagnostic Center. That's where everybody goes. And then it's a prison, but it's mainly just a place that you pass through.
Yeah, it's a reception center, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. All right.
And then they sent me to the worst prison in Missouri, man. I was scared to death. They
So
sent me to Missouri.
how many prisons do they have in Missouri?
At that time, it wasn't a whole lot, but over the time I was in prison, they built more prisons, like
Yeah.
5 or 6 more.
All right.
But
So you went to this, is this an older prison or what?
yeah, it was built in 1836. There's a Missouri State Penitentiary.
All
And
right. 5 tiers high?
I mean, huh?
How many tiers they have?
4 tiers high, the
right.
housing unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And bars,
Yeah.
it's all bars in front.
Right. San Quentin's 5 tiers high. Same
Yeah.
thing, bars. You got your
Yeah.
cell block, then you got a building around the cell block.
And you're gonna fight when you get there. I mean, there's no getting out of it,
Really?
Yeah.
So when you drive up there, they throw you in a cell with somebody, or you have a single cell, or what?
They threw me in a cell with somebody who actually was a pretty cool dude. I got lucky,
Yeah.
But he told me, he said, somebody's going to come up to you and approach you. He said, you need to fight, He said that, they're just trying to punk you out. So you're going to have to fight.
Yeah.
But the first mistake I made was when I went to the chow hall. I sat on the wrong side.
Yeah. I saw that. So what do you mean by the wrong side?
Well, when you go in the chow hall, on the left side it was all blacks, and on the right side it was all whites.
So
Well, I
it's
sat down
segregated.
on the wrong. Yeah, it was self-segregated.
Yeah,
Not.
yeah.
You know.
So you sat on the black side of the jaw.
Yeah, yeah. So this black guy comes and he says, "You're sitting in my seat,"
Yeah.
and I said, "Okay." He goes, "I'm gonna give you a piece of advice. Your kind sits over there."
Yeah.
So I get up, and the whole chow hall is watching me. It felt like.
Yeah. Well, I imagine
So I
they
walked.
were, you're out of bounds. You were out of bounds.
Right. So, so I walked to the other side, and there was a table with 3 people, and they said, "Hey, you can sit here." He said, "Our partner, this used to be his seat, but he said he's in the hole.
Yeah.
You can sit here, but he said, here's the thing. This is your seat. Anybody tries to take your seat, you tell them politely to get up. If they do not get up, you fight them.
Yeah.
You don't let anybody take your seat."
So you got to take off on them.
Right.
All right. So were those older guys or what?
Yeah, they was a bunch of older guys, old heads,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but they never did until I got in that fight. They'd tell me things and they'd school me on some things, but they really didn't start hanging around with me until after I got in a fight with them. Got my ass whooped by them 2 guys.
You got, so once you get there, you get a job or anything, or what you go to school, or what was going on like with your program when you
Well,
first got there?
back then I had to finish school, and you could you could get a job after you got your education. You can get a job anywhere you wanted. But now, when you go into the prison system, you got to do 90 days in food service off the top.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, California's kind of like that. They'll put you in the kitchen, but if you don't have your education, they'll put you in school till your grade average gets to a certain level, or you get a GED or something,
Right.
But new guys usually end up in the kitchen for a while until they get tired of it, or like me, there were times when I wanted to work in the kitchen, and there were other times when they put me in the kitchen. I just tell them, fuck you, I ain't,
Yeah. Take me to the hole.
Yeah, well, we
Yeah.
didn't go to the hole, but I just tell them, hey, I didn't ask for this job, and fuck you, I ain't working in the kitchen,
Right.
But so you went to education, you got your education, you get a GED, or what did you get?
Yeah, I got my GED,
All right.
and then I ended up in the hobby craft. It's not really a job, but you can go there besides having a job.
Right. We used to have that out here.
Yeah, they don't have it no more.
Yeah, neither do we. They used to
Yeah.
have wood, jewelry, ceramics, leather, art. They still have art in some places. So what did they have stuff like that where you could do projects like that?
Yeah, that's where I started my leather work at.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
So did you make like handcuff holders and shit like that for the cops to buy?
No, but
Right.
but I made a holster for the cop, a guard. But we
Yeah.
could put our stuff in the visitor room. We had this in the visitor room that had this area where you could display your stuff,
Right. Like
and
a
the
store.
visitor, yeah, and visitors could buy it.
Yeah. We had the same thing going on out here. They could buy
Yeah.
it, money would go to your account.
Yep.
Yeah, we had the
That's
same
true.
thing. Yeah. But guys out here that did leather, they used to make like handcuff holders, panic button holders, for the COs, and they would buy it in the store.
Oh, wow.
Uh, but then their union said they couldn't do that anymore. They had to buy it from official
Right.
cop store or whatever.
Right.
And then they took all that shit away from us.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I think with the leather, it was because they had knives and stuff, you know.
Yeah,
But
but you know, guys never abuse they never abuse that shit. Guys are making money off leather work. They're not going to use their leather
right,
tools
right,
to stab somebody, especially when you could make a knife just about anything you want if you got a half a brain. You know?
anything.
Yeah, so yeah, so you after you got your GED, you started hobbying. Did you have a job as well, or you just hobby?
I just did the hobby craft, you know.
Right. So you had a life sentence, right? So any of them guys in there kind of school you on what a life sentence was gonna be for you, or what?
Yeah, they did. They schooled me on a lot of things. I was really appreciative of them, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, because I would have been lost without a lot of those guys, you know.
yeah,
But you know, they tell me things like, do the time, don't let the time do you, you know.
yeah.
Don't think don't think about all this stuff on the outside, you know. You know,
So
you
you
got,
said you got in a fight or something, right?
it really wasn't a fight. I just got my ass whooped.
Right, so what was that all about?
Well, the yard was kind of segregated too a little bit. They
Yeah,
had a lower yard and an upper yard. I mean, it wasn't segregated like it is in California. You know, whites could go up there and blacks could go down there, but it was everybody stayed in their own area, you know, pretty much.
yeah,
And one morning, I was getting ready to go to the yard, and my cellie tells me, he says, "Wait until I get done." He said, "I'll be done in about 30 minutes." He said, "Me and another dude will go out there with you." Well, I didn't wait. I went, instead of going to the lower yard, I went to the upper yard.
yeah,
And I sat down on this curb, and these two guys came up to me, and that black guys, and they said, "You're going to be with us. You know, you're going to be our little bitch."
oh, was
I
that
said,
right?
"No." Yeah, I said, "No, I'm not." You know, and I kind of spit on one of them's foot, and so they started whooping me,
Yeah,
and then they walked away, and I called them some punks, and
yeah.
they came back and they just started kicking me and stomping me, and you know, I was thinking, man, I should have kept my mouth shut, but um, yeah, after that, I was cool, you know. I mean, you still have to. Nobody bothered me on that level no more, but you still have to stay on your toes in that place, you know,
So
about
they
anything.
they have like prison gangs there or anything like that?
They did, but it's nothing like they didn't have like the Aryan Brotherhood or anything like that, you know.
No. So they didn't have did they have like is there like illegal activity going on, like drugs, all that kind of shit?
Always,
Yeah. So there was no
but
like
they
was there like any one group trying to control that stuff or anything like that?
uh when the Bloods and Crips started getting pretty heavy, they was kind of fighting over it a little bit, you know. But usually whoever the drug man was, he was like the king, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, if you got
everybody
a dope sack, you got a lot of friends, you know.
exactly.
Till the
Yeah,
dope runs out, then they're not your friends no more.
right, exactly.
Yeah. I remember one time my cellie told me, hey, when you got dope, you ain't got no friends. He said the guys that stick around when the dope's gone, those are your friends. You know,
Right. That's true.
yeah.
You
So,
know,
so there was that a lot of dope fiends in there? Or,
a lot. And it seems like it's getting worse.
yeah.
When I left there, it was getting worse, you know.
So how was that? Was there was there cash in there? You guys doing mail outs or what kind of how
Well,
that?
they had different ways of doing it, you know.
Yeah,
But the thing back then, it's not so much anymore, but back then, like $10 green, you know, cash was like worth 15 in the prison, you know.
right, right. Yeah,
But
cash is king.
yeah,
Yeah,
but they would have that stuff sent in through the mail, They'd have people bring it in through visiting.
Yeah.
The guards bring it in.
Oh yeah, most of the shit, the big shit, the guards bring in, you know. So
Exactly.
did you have guys like going in debt, not paying their debts, all that kind of shit?
Yeah, that's the one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to get in debt in prison.
So how did they deal with that stuff out there in Missouri?
Anymore, like lately, it's not so bad. It's mostly just fights and stuff. But when I first came down, if you got in debt, you're subject to get stabbed. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it
Uh,
should be, you know.
uh,
Um, yeah, I
there's no
hate
back,
to say it, but
back then, right back then there was no. Oh, my money didn't hit. Just give me 2 more weeks. They don't want to hear that. You know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you know, you can't play dudes in there like punks, you know.
Right.
And that's kind of one of the reasons I got out of that whole game. Is the guys involved with it were just getting worse and worse and worse, and
Right.
I got to where I had to threaten people and, you know, flash a
Yeah.
fucking knife on them, let them know, you know, I don't get my money in a week, you know, you're gonna fucking die, and you know,
Right.
it just got to be
It's
too
just
much, you know. You know what I mean? So
my cellie left. He was a store man, and he left. And he left the store to me. And I ran it for like a month. And I said, man, the heck with this. Because, you know, you have guys trying to play, oh, just give me 2 more weeks. You know, no, you know, like you
yeah,
said, you have to threaten them. You know, it's too much of a hassle,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And so like you were like in a maximum security prison or what?
Yeah. I was in level 5s and 4s all the way up until I got a date.
All right. So they go all the way up to 5. Out here it goes up to 4. Then we have the
Yeah.
shoe,
They go,
you know, we have shoe units. But and so once you got your trade, did you get any vocational training while you're in there?
no, I went to college. You know, they had a college in Farmington. And when I was in Farmington, I went to college.
Yeah,
Um, but it wasn't a like a correspondence college. It was an actual college that was in the prison,
yeah.
and that was a good thing. But in the high levels in Missouri, they ain't got a lot of vocational stuff. That's only when you get down to the lower levels.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's why I always talk about that. There's no rehabilitation in Missouri. They're not preparing people for when they get out. You know,
Yeah.
and when you get down to the lower level, there's usually a line of people waiting to get in those classes. And then by the time you get in, it's time for you to leave, you know?
Right. So what'd you do as far as like, I mean, I can't really understand how you can do all that time in prison and not learn a trade or not, you know, did you learn any trade? You didn't learn any trades or nothing?
The only thing I learned was leather work.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
that
I
was
learned milling cabinet, plumbing. You know, I worked in a furniture factory cutting wood, bending metal. You know, I did all kinds of shit when I was in prison.
well, they had a in the last maximum prison I was in, they have what they called MVE, Missouri Vocational Enterprises.
Yeah,
It's not really vocational because what they're doing is they're making furniture and stuff, but they're not really teaching the guys how. I guess they're learning as they go, but it's more about the prison making money off the prisoners, you know?
so they're making furniture for the state.
Yeah, and then the state sells it,
Do they
you
they
know?
sell it to the state or do they sell it in the private community?
They the prisoners make it, and then the prison sells it somewhere else. I don't know where they sell it,
Because
but
in
they sell it to different.
California, they manufacture products that are sold exclusively to state agencies. Like
Oh, really?
we made furniture, and then the furniture was sold to state colleges, the highway patrol, any state agency that needed furniture and shit. They would have to get it from the prison industry. But
Wow, I didn't know about that.
yeah, they're not allowed to sell it in the private community though.
I didn't know about that. See, it might be like that out here. I was thinking they sold it out into the private community, you know, and I was really upset about that, you know.
Yeah. Did you get
But
involved with that? I mean, they paid. Did they give you guys a paycheck or what?
the people in MVE make 90 cents an hour, the highest pay they can make.
All right, that's
And
not like us out here.
yeah, that's not too bad, you know, really compared to everybody else what they're making, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. You know,
but
out here you work in the kitchen, you make like 5 cents an hour.
right. Well, they out here you make like the kitchen out here, they pay you by the month. And it's anywhere from 10 to 15 to $20 a month.
Yeah, yeah. So, um, the food out there, was it any good, or did they feed you well, or how was that?
I wouldn't say it was good, and it seemed like it's gotten worse. But
Yeah,
it I don't know how to describe it. You know, like the pizzas were more like the school pizzas, you know, which
yeah.
isn't too bad.
Same thing. They're school lunch pizzas. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, when I went
Um,
to prison, we used to get steak, pork chops, you know, real hamburger
right.
meat. And now it's just soybean and mixed with ground up chicken and it's just nasty.
Yeah, tofu and all that. It's
That
gotten worse.
tofu, but a lot of soybean.
Yeah, a lot. Like the Salisbury steak is like a soy burger, really.
Yeah, it's
But
really terrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
But when I first, like when I first got to, I did a video about this. The holidays at Missouri State Penitentiary were awesome. Like they'd have the 4th of July outside and they'd be
Yeah.
doing barbecue grills and stuff, you know?
Yeah. We did that
And
at Tracy. We used to have barbecues on a yard on holidays.
yeah. And
Yeah.
they stopped all that. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, you know, like at Christmas out here, Thanksgiving, you'd get a tray. You had 2 trays. You had so much food, you had 2 trays, you know, and then it
Yeah,
just went
exactly.
down to now it's just like it's actually worse than a regular meal because
Yeah, it is.
the cops do a half a day shift so they could go home for the holiday. So they just want to hurry up and get you fed and locked up so they can leave, you know?
Like you said, that when I first came to prison, you'd have to have 2 trays to get everything.
Yeah.
And then it got down to where it's like 1 tray, you know, mainly. And
Yeah.
then they're splitting that up. They start splitting that up in Missouri, half of it at lunch and half of it at supper.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, so while you're doing your time, did you get any visits from your family or letters or
Oh
you
yeah,
had family support?
oh yeah, that I had good family support, you know, and
Yeah.
my parents and my brother came up. I had friends that come up.
Right.
But my parents, you know, it was bad seeing them come and see me because they never did forgive themselves, you know. They felt so bad, you know. I seen
Well,
them age 10 years in a year, you
because
know.
you had told them about what happened, they didn't believe you.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so after I was arrested, my dad, he told me, he said, I know you ain't going to just shoot somebody just for to be shooting them. He said, I'm sorry I didn't believe you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so you maintained family support all the way through your prison time.
Yep, sure did.
Oh, that's good stuff. And
Yeah.
so while you're in the joint, uh, you're just doing leather work. Did you do leather work all the way through your term, or did they take it away from you?
They took it most of the hobby craft stuff away from us, you know, except like you said, like little art stuff, you know, like drawings and stuff.
Right.
But when I got to South Central Correctional Center, um, I did a little stint in the food service, and then I got in recreation,
Yeah.
which I enjoyed that because you know by then they wasn't letting all the housing units out at once. So with me being in recreation, I was out all day long. You know.
Yeah. So that sounds like California. Once the prisons got overcrowded, they're having riots, stabbings. So they said in order to control it, they run like split yard. You only get to go to yard
Yeah.
for half a day. Same thing.
Yeah. Same thing.
Wow.
Just so many housing units out at a time. And
Yeah.
I still got a few people that call me from prison, and they said South Central Correctional Center is just getting worse. He said there's people stabbing each other over phones and everything else now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he said there's people in the hole that's got knives, and they're stabbing people in the hole. I said that's crazy. You know,
Yeah. Well, hell, we've been doing that out here since the whole time I was. They got more
right,
stabbings in the hole back then, and then than they did on the main. But then they when you went to the hole, you ended up having walk alone.
right, yeah,
So, I mean, you go to the yard, you can't stab nobody because you're on the yard by yourself.
yeah. They put you in like a little cage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little dog cage.
yeah.
Uh,
We got them out here too.
yeah, it's crazy the similarities.
Yeah,
And so
and
after you've been down a while, I mean, people kind of respect you, like, hey, that guy's the lifer. Do they have that kind of stuff going on, or?
yeah, it's it's kind of odd because when I first got to prison, I was calling the older people old heads, and they'd call me young blood.
Yeah,
And years later, these young guys come to prison. They start calling me old head, and to me, I'm not an old head. The old heads are the ones that came before me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they start calling you OG and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I was 17 when I got arrested as well, and
yeah,
I did 38 years. So towards the end of my term, I was like the old dude on the yard, but I didn't feel like it, but I was.
right. You probably the same as me. You felt the guys that came before you were
Yeah,
the veteran. Yeah,
yeah, they're the OGs. Now,
right.
most of them are gone, but okay. So,
Yeah.
how much time did you do all together?
29 years to the day.
All right, so did you have to go in front of parole board to get out, or what?
I'm not, you mean to get a date?
Yeah,
Yeah, I went up 6 times, and on my sixth time, they said, you'll get an answer. They always tell you you'll get an answer in 2 to 6 weeks.
oh, all right,
And so they usually send it to you in the mail, but this guy, this institutional parole officer, he wanted to hand it to me personally. So he called me back there and handed me the paper. I wish he had done that because everybody wouldn't know why I was called back there in the back office.
yeah,
And I can't really say, oh, it was nothing. There wasn't a no,
yeah.
you know, and
So while you're
so I
doing
had to.
your time, I mean, did you think you were going to get out, or did they get, like California? They said, hey, fuck you, you're never getting out. If you got a life sentence, you're done. Did they have that thing out
Yeah,
there, or were guys really going home, or what were your
I was told.
expectations?
I was told that they have 2 life sentences out here in Missouri: life without and life with the possibility.
Yeah,
And the old heads always told me, they said, treat your life sentence as if it's a life without. You don't, when you go up for parole, you know, hope for the best, but expect the worst, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Well, out here in California, they said, basically for 20 years, no one got out.
20 years, nobody got out.
Yeah, they didn't let anyone, if you had a life sentence, like 15 alive, 7 up, whatever, 25 alive, they weren't letting no one out. The governors were like, hey, you know what? Forget about it. So,
That's crazy.
so
Well,
like, did they have jobs out there like carpenter shop, plumbing, all that kind of maintenance jobs?
oh yeah, they had the plumber, which we always called the turd man, you know, and they had not really so much carpenters, but they had like maintenance and
Yeah,
you know they usually had certain people mowing yards, you know.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it just kind of, it seems like it's just dead time out there, really.
It is pretty much, I mean, it's really sad that people in the high levels that have a chance of going home someday are not really learning a trade, learning something that they can use when they get out.
Yeah. How many guys are in them prisons?
Um, it varies. You mean how many does each prison hold?
Yeah.
Well, like South Central Correctional Center holds 1,500,
Yeah.
and I think the walls, Missouri State Penitentiary held like a little over 2,000.
Yeah.
Potosi, which is where they sent the people that was on death row and the people who get in trouble all the time, it's only got 800.
Is that a new prison or an old prison?
It was a newer prison. It was
Yeah.
built like in the 90s, but it was the weird thing about that place is they ain't got the capital punishment people on in their own area. They got them out in population.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the craziest thing I ever saw.
Yeah, it's weird in California, death row's on San Quentin. It's the oldest prison in the state,
Right.
but that's where they are because that's where the law says, that's where it's going to be. But they're segregated,
Right. That's the way they used to be when they was at Missouri State Penitentiary, MSP. They had their own area, they segregated.
Yeah.
But now in Potosi, they're running around with everybody else. And I'm thinking, man, this is crazy,
Yeah, that'd be kind of uncomfortable,
It was. I had a cellie that was on that. And I told him, I said, I got to talk to you. And he says, what about? I said, I shouldn't be bringing this up, but you got the death penalty. And he said, yeah. I said, what happens if you wake up one morning thinking, well, they're going to kill me. I'm going to take out as many people as I can. I'm the first one you're going to see, And he goes, they got us all medicated. He says, you guys with life sentence cause more problems than we do.
Yeah.
And he was right.
Are they actually executing guys out there?
Yeah.
They do? Wow.
And the funny thing is, they used to do it in Potosi, but the guards got to complaining that they was getting to know the prisoners, and then they was getting executed, so it was messing with them mentally. So now they take them to another prison to execute them.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think out here they bring someone in to do it,
Yeah.
Actually, they have a medical doctor do it, actually, which is, against medical practice. But
I don't know how they do it here. I know that
lethal
two guards,
injection,
I know two guards, when they was doing them in Potosi, two guards would lead them down to where they did, in medical, where they used to be executed,
They do the lethal injection out there too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of sick, really.
I think so too. I tell you what else I think is sick is they made the Missouri State Penitentiary a museum, and I went back to it because I wanted to see my old cell.
Yeah.
They had the gas chamber, and so we went down there, and there was people sitting where people were executed, taking selfies and smiling and stuff. That just pissed me off.
Yeah, I went to the Frontier Prison in Wyoming. It's a museum now, and I actually sat in the gas chamber there, just to because I've been in San Quentin, and they got the gas chamber, and I sat there, and I thought, man, this is, I could see their death row is pretty small, but I thought, man, just think of all the people that suffered and died here,
Right. That's what I did. I just sat down there and I was just quiet looking around like, wow, this is where it happened. This is where their life ended. But, you had these others that was just sitting there, smiling and joking and laughing, taking selfies. And
they don't know the kind of misery people went through in them places,
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks Yeah, they don't understand that. And people don't understand that, I'm not saying that all guards are bad, but
Yeah.
I've seen guards beat inmates before,
Oh yeah. So let me ask you, if you fight out there, you get caught stabbing somebody, did they shoot you?
No, I've
No,
never seen anybody I've never seen anybody get shot over a stabbing.
no.
No,
How'd they break up fights
they just run right into it.
and hit you with a billy club or something?
Yeah, at the walls they had billy clubs and these big mag lights, but they would never go in. If a guard came up on two people fighting or somebody getting stabbed, he wouldn't go in there by himself, because the thing is, if he's cuffing one, then it's leaving himself as well as the prisoner vulnerable to the
Yeah.
other. So they always went in with more than one,
Yeah, out here they just shoot you.
Yeah, wow.
Well, they used to shoot you with a shotgun or a mini 14, and then they went to block guns and tear gas and shit like that,
No, I've never seen that happen out here.
Wow. Yeah,
Never
they
even heard.
shot so many people out here that the feds kind of stepped in and told them that they were out of line. They had to change the policy. That's why they went
Right.
to, now if they see you stabbing somebody, they will shoot you. But
Wow.
no more. They used to shoot you for fist fighting too. We appreciate our subscribers. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you for watching, folks. Visit us at HARDINTENTIONS.com. Whatever you do, remember, do it hard.